Welcome back to Man on a Beach. I'm at Burnham Deepdale with John and with Steve. John, what does the beach mean to you?
Well, I have a particular interest in art, and I always find that going to the sea again, the call of the wild in effect, it brings you back to the scenes that they used. And particularly of interest to me is the 19th century artists. So Stanhope Forbes from Cornwall, who had a school of art around in Newlyn, and the artists flocked around there because they identified the wonderful light, the beautiful sunshine, the wonderful scenes, and how you can make people reminiscent of things they'd done in the past just by capturing that scene in that one particular moment. So my great attraction, I guess, is to come back and see nature at its best, in my opinion. So here here we are on the Norfolk coast, and I'm having as much fun thinking about some of the artists who lived around Norfolk and Suffolk. You know, some of our great artists like Alfred Munnings, who was president of the Royal Academy. He loved all of this area, and I can truly understand why he did and what kept drawing him back from the smoky Londons to come back to his home ground on the East Anglian coast.
So when I think of that Newlyn school, it's a sort of impressionism, isn't it? And I wondered whether it was that fleeting or changing essence of the light. Well,
that was an element. I mean, the Impressionism came slightly before that, and they moved on, and it was more of a realism, where they tended to paint outside because they thought there was something about capturing the light outside. So they tended to paint in plein air, as they would call it, and capture the scenes there, and they were magical at capturing the month. So it could be spring, it could be summer, it could be winter, but they were experts at capturing that scene. And it's, as I said earlier, it's a moment captured in time, and that's where I just love to think back to those days and what they must what they must have felt. So I do the same now. We were chatting just before we bumped into you, and we were talking about, for me, it's thinking time. I can walk along here, and you don't need to be in any heavy conversation, but it gives you time to think and look. And you know, there's a piece of prose, what is this life is full of care, we have no time to stand and stare, no time to stand beneath the boughs and stare as long as sheep or cows. And in the background here, I'm watching the cows actually doing that, and it's just so wonderful to be able to do that and not to worry too much about, you know, what you might have to be doing at work on the Monday following.
Thanks a lot, John.
No, my pleasure. Yeah.
Steve, anything to add?
Yeah, well, for me, I live in Cambridge, which, as you know, is a fairly densely populated area. Lots of industry there and education and things. But for me, going to the beach, this is the nearest part of the coast for me, at North Norfolk here. And as you can see, I'm coming to a wild and remote area, and we can walk all morning and hardly see anybody. I am, together with my wife, we're both interested in birds, and we love seabirds, and we love all birds. And this part of the Norfolk coast, you can just walk along this elevated bank and you can see all sorts of birds. You don't even need binoculars. But also it's the smells and the sounds. You know, this time of year, you've got all the lovely wild plants, you've got the call of the seabirds, and you know, the wind blowing through the grasses. And then at the end of this walk, we approach the sand dunes and we eventually see the sea, and we can walk down. And then, you know, going back to my childhood, what I always want to do is get into the surf, feel the sand between my toes, and get the surf coming up over my knees, wetting the bottom of my shorts. And that is, it just takes me back to my childhood. And you know, the beach brings back so many memories to me. Every time I go into the surf, it's just a fantastic day out.
Thank you both very much.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.